Option A, option B, C, D, E, F. Which one should I do today? Who cares? Forget it. We're doing Street Fighter 6 today. Anyways, hey guys, this is Josh the Thomas fan, just in Super Smash Bros. Here. And today we are going to be doing a Street Fighter video. I am actually very excited for this game coming out. This is actually a dream request that I've been waiting for this whole time.
But unfortunately, this thing will not appear on like Nintendo consoles for some way. Rip to that.
Before we even start, I want to make sure that
to anyone who's watching this video, make sure you're subscribing because, of course, 92.6 of you are still not subbed to the channel. And if you still love video game discussions like these, please leave a like in the comments section. But anyways,
to get things started, there's, of course, the characters. There's some 3 different game modes that's very different from the perspective Street Fighter. So I'm going to go over the characters first, and then I'm going to go over the modes. The first thing of how it's going to go for the characters is that I want this game to have like a lot of characters returning. Not only just new characters, but also old characters. In fact, we already got 11 characters revealed for the game. And that being Ryu, Chun-Li, Jamie, Luke, Guile, Kimberly, Juri, Ken, Blanca, Dhalsim, and E Honda that have already been confirmed as playable characters. However, Jamie is considered a new character, along with Kimberly. The thing of this theme for Street Fighter 6 is they're going to go straight back to the old roots of nostalgia, like Street Fighter 3, Third Strike.
That's probably why we get the interesting feeling of hip-hop and rap for the game, and its art style being from Street Fighter. So it makes sense.
I want this to be like the Smash Ultimate of traditional fighting games, because I want every Street Fighter character to return. There's others that do deserve another chance, since they have appeared more than just one time at a game. For the original Street Fighter 2 roster, we know everyone has returned. In terms of concept art, we already know that an old leaker was showcasing some of the characters of its roster.
And it's pretty average, but hey, I mean, after the first Street Fighter 6, they're gonna make like 2 to 3 more installments of the same game, but with an arcade edition and an ultimate edition, and maybe a super form like Super Street Fighter 6 or something, but who knows? There's probably a Street Fighter 6 arcade edition and a champion edition waiting in the future. Or maybe the last being an ultimate edition, who knows what.
But yeah, there were some things in the leak concept art that would show our roster of characters that are returning and what's new coming on the roster. We know that everyone is going to be returning from the original roster. Sagat, Bison, Vega, Balrog, T-Hawk, Fei Long, DJ, and Cammy are also going to return, because we've seen these characters throughout the franchise and they have to be staying.
Even if one of them has to be deleted or used as a fighter pass or something.
But we don't do that.
For Street Fighter Alpha, there should at least be a minimum. Not too many characters, but just at least there are some potential Street Fighter Alpha characters, like, of course, like Birdie or Miku, Inrid, Julie, Junie, Adon, and Jen, Rose, and maybe some other ones that we have seen, but at least just keep that of them returning for the game. Then Street Fighter 3 is their main target. Street Fighter 6's theme is to go back to the time when Street Fighter 3 was the most popular Street Fighter among all Street Fighters.
That's when things need to get enhanced for it.
And the fact that there's barely characters you see return in Street Fighter 4 and 5, but for Street Fighter 6, everyone has to come back from 3. Especially Sean, because
they literally made Sean the horriblest treatment I've ever seen. He first was a good character from the start of the series, and then when Street Fighter 5 came out, he was just an NPC character, or part of the story mode. So hopefully by Street Fighter 6, they're going to put him back as a playable fighter, and at least give him some potential of what's changed so far.
And as for Street Fighter 4's potential roster, we know that Yuri is the only returning character, but there's a chance for other Street Fighter 4 characters to make a comeback, like El Fuerte, Rufus, Abel, C. Viper, and maybe even some other ones like Hadan, Oni, and even Goken.
Maybe Goken is probably still alive at this point.
They're even going to feature Final Fight characters, because
it's unexpected how Final Fight characters are connected with the Street Fighter multiverse.
So it's even possible to see some Final Fight characters make it into the spotlight, like Maki, Guy, Cody, Hagar, Rolento, Poison, Hugo, Sunum, and even others. It's just cool to see these characters show up in the Street Fighter franchise. Now, in Street Fighter V, there was even passes. There was like character passes where they like showcase, like, you think of it as like Smash Ultimate Fighter passes. Like,
They showcase like around 6 to 5 characters per pass. Well,
hopefully in Street Fighter 6 they don't do this, because it doesn't feel right as a Street Fighter game, because everyone should come back. Everyone deserves a spotlight in the series.
And they done this 5 times in a row.
For the Street Fighter V cast, they could at least put in some new characters. We know Ed is a returning 5 character, but other characters like Falk, Cage, Manat, Rashid are returning, but there's some Street Fighter V characters that could make a deserved comeback. Now, since Capcom is confirming also some guest characters, that I suggest we're also going to get like some interesting first-party Capcom characters, and not too big, but just really cool third-party Capcom characters. And I'll go into guest characters in the next segment afterwards. But in other words, for like actual first-party Capcom characters, to make it look interesting, they could add characters from the Mega Man series like Mega Man, Proto Man, Roll, and Bass, along with Zero and Mega Man X, Tronbon and Servbot from another Mega Man series. But other characters from the Capcom world are Captain Commando, Morgan, Lilith, BB Hoodie, and Felicia from the Darkstalker series, Dante Inverted from Devil May Cry, Phoenix, Miles, and Maya from Ace Attorney, Jin from Cyberbots, 3 characters from the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 as Ruby Harb, Sun, and Amigo.
since these were like the ultimate trio of Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and it's still going for so many centuries, they haven't even showed up. They only showed up like only, I think, once or twice, but they did like deserve another chance to show in games.
And also like Strider. Also maybe even feature some Resident Evil presentation like Leon and Jill for protagonists, and for villains you have, of course, Nemesis and Lady Demetsu for villains, King Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins, the Monster Hunter protagonist, and Frank West from Dead Rising series.
These are all just iconic guest first-party Capcom characters to show up in a traditional fighting game. And since the Marvel vs. Capcom series exists, some of these characters from that moveset will appear in a Street Fighter design instead of a 3v3 or just 1v1s or something.
The next subject is we're going to go on to actual guest characters, because Capcom does say that they are going to officially add real guest characters. And most fighting games like Tekken 7, Mortal Kombat 11, and Soul Calibur 2 and Smash Bros. Have all had the opportunity of guest characters. So, for Street Fighter 6, I came up with a set of some interesting guest characters, and that being Jin Kazama or Kazuya Mishima from the Tekken series, since Akuma has appeared in Tekken 7 as a guest character. So, honestly, it should be for either Kazuya, Jin to appear in Street Fighter 6.
In Tekken 7, Kuma had all of the Street Fighter mechanics that Tekken characters couldn't do. So,
For Jin, Kazuya, they can now have that privilege to see what it would be like in a 2D fighting game.
since they have shown their presentation once in Street Fighter Cross Tekken,
Terry Bogard and Kyle from the King of Fighters / Fatal Fury series, since both of them are considered protagonists of the series, and they have fought before in Capcom vs. NK series, but it's discontinued, so I guess
they should be back one more time just before like the next future King of Fighters game or crossover. So what?
along with Sub-Zero and Scorpion from Mortal Kombat.
I know this is probably just a fighting game. There's not that much blood and stuff, but at least tone their volume down. Like, no, don't make them too violent, but just make them like average violent. Just at least no fatalities or whatnot. But at least have super arts that look like finishers, but they don't do literal destruction or something.
Kusumi and Ryo Hayabusa from Dead or Alive. Basically, Kusumi from Dead or Alive, while Ryo Hayabusa from just Ninja Raiden, but
They say that the creator of Dead or Alive is retired, and there's still a chance for these characters to show up in other traditional fighting games, because the series is not dead. There's at least some more presentation they could appear in.
so these would be good guest characters since they still have presentation, yet they have their spin-offs and stuff, so, and their movie and stuff, but at least give them another chance. Sinchfried, a nightmare from Soul Calibur. I would just personally just go with Sinchfried from Soul Calibur alone, because apparently he only shows, unless his last appearance was like Soul Calibur 5, So you could bring him back, and of course,
But there's not that many sword characters in Street Fighters. There's like only like a small minimum of sword fighters. So
he might break the game, but he'll just be too broken. Like he'll be around like mid tier or something.
this is too off topic. The 4 chosen Virtual Fighter characters, and that being Akira, Jackie, Sarah, and Pai. But if I were to go with one Virtual Fighter character, it would be Akira, since he's the consistent protagonist of Virtual Fighter.
And Virtual Fighter hasn't made a new game in a while, so Virtual Fighter 5 was their last game. Hopefully, in the future, there will probably be a Virtual Fighter 6 in the upcoming future, and who knows what, but yeah.
Fulgor or Jago from Killer Instinct, since there hasn't even been another Killer Instinct in a while, hence Rare is owned by Microsoft. So since the Street Fighter will be on the Xbox, there has to at least be like a special Microsoft rep like Jago or Fulgor for Killer Instinct. This is still a series that everyone loves, the Black Card. This fighting game is a fusion of both Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, but has creepy characters that no one even recognizes. But there's like, they could go with any other character. There's Hashi, there's Paquito, there's Norkoro, and Anais, and Anzai. But if I were to go with one character, it would be Anzai, and the last one being Yugo from Bloody Roar. His mechanic is just a beast change ability that is only consistent, and you could also do a little super art, so he will also have a super arm mechanic as well that makes him beast changeable. Now we are at the very interesting part with the 3 special game modes in Street Fighter 6. Now I'm going to be doing each of these particular game modes one by one. I'm going to be on from Fighting Ground to World Tour and talk about everything interesting and probably some preferences. And starting it off, we're going to go is Fighting Ground. The Fighting Ground is pretty much the same thing to what you see from like Street Fighter 5 and stuff, to what it shares the significance of what it is. Of course, there's this new thing called the drive gauge, which is very similar to how you see the trigger button and the ultra move from previous Street Fighters, but this one's going to be built different. And despite this drive mechanic,
or tech, I would say,
will tend to have 5 different sorts of drives: drive impact, drive parry, overdrive, overdrive rush, and drive reversal. This is basically done because on a particular button you press / angle of the controller you directly pull, because each will like share like a different perspective of how you're going to fight in the battle.
It kind of basically acts like a sort of super armor / invincible / knockback / counter likewise, a sort of reflection or something. I don't know, but it kind of acts like Smash stuff related, but it's very different to how you see from its perspective joined.
The way how it work is that it will have 2 different versions of ways how it's being made, depending on the gauge or the drive set of how many drive sets you have for it. So it's pretty interesting. And there's even a form of controlling, 2 different forms of controllers. There's like the classic controller, which basically acts as your traditional fighting game. And then there's the modern controller, which basically makes the game much more easy to play Street Fighter and stuff. But it kind of references like Smash Brothers, where you customize your controller settings depending on the controller you have. Like
if it's like a sideways Joy-Con, GameCube controller, Pro controller, or dual Joy-Con and stuff, it's kind of that similarity.
But then when you go to like real traditional fighting game tournaments, and pros are gonna be pulling out this fighting game arcade controller. Trust me, that's what people use nowadays when you go to like fighting game tournaments nowadays. And the fact of what I think, they're gonna be adding commentators to Street Fighter 6 instead of announcers. But I hope there's still an announcer for Street Fighter 6, because Street Fighter 6 has been famous for their announcers from the sequel of Street Fighter 2 to the third strike of Street Fighter 3, and so on. I just want this thing to continue. And the commentary thing is basically usually when matches go on from here and there. And yet
there used to be like tournaments at EVO and some Capcom tournaments and stuff, and they commentate the matches already there because the game's being played.
But now this is like full commentary inside the game.
So I don't know about how this will be good or bad. We'll just have to see. Unless they say some funny stuff like commentators curse or something else that would just be so interesting to hear from.
And there's of course the battle details being the simple versus 1v1, or you fight a CPU or something, or just CPU versus CPU. It's always that type of way.
That's of course where this is where the beta test comes in for online.
And this is something surprising because it's gonna have both a ranked and a casual side of Street Fighter. It's kind of different to how you see like Super Smash Brothers with their casual and competitive scene, where of course
In the casual side, you have like your items and your stamina and stages with who are not considered legal and stuff. And then you have your competitive side, which is this stock battle, competitive stages, and so on. I don't know if it's going to share the same things as Smash, but Street Fighter is Street Fighter, and it's a traditional fighting game, so they'll find some way of casualty.
And then there's this new mode called Extreme for Fighting Ground, which it kind of has that same potential where you do like funny special game modes in like a volleyball match, or you fight some Mega Man stage hazards for enemies. And there's always the random bowl in the stage where you probably have to get hit like 5 times or not get hit by it or something, like some sort of way there could be. And yet again,
It's kind of referencing to how you see like with Super Smash Bros. Melee in the custom mod of volleyball, along with some Smash stage hazards and bosses appearing, along with Special Smash aside.
and there's even the training mode as well. This is where you can now create
Reversal things, look at frame data, this, and then just do amazing stuff in terms of scales and stuff.
And the way they made the training stage is similar to how you see the training stage in Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter 5. So, now the next subject I'm going to go over is Battle Hub. This sort of online system that lets you interact with players from around the world. And that being the Battle Hub, it's like a big auditorium or something, like something you see at a venue. And the communication is really big because it could hold up to 100 players at that sitting, and there's a bit of here and there to interact. And the communication is even interesting because it also provides like special meetings, like special messages that it provides. And with that, it's similar to how you see in Smash Ultimate with their little like messages if to anyone or friends, depending if you, on your Smash tag. Or when you create like a battle arena, there's always the thing where like you have like the arena chats.
Which, of course, Nintendo once posted or updated from their system to the arenas.
And then there's also the way where you can play a match online, and there's even that you can even spectate some of the matches as well. Similar to how you see the Smash Bros. Online system where you can play Smash, and the other side you could just spectate other people from around the world. It's similar to that concept. Also, event counters will happen, meaning that there will be
Real events and tournaments likewise, so
it's similar to how you see in Smash Ultimate with that same concept, because they tend to do events more than once a year, and it could, depending on the genre, depending what characters they have. In Street Fighter, they don't depend on the character. And it's different because this will also provide real commentary. And there's even a little game center or a little game cabinet where you get to play old Capcom titles like Captain Commando, Final Fight, and some Mega Man, and many other iconic Capcom reps. This is similar to how you see in Smash Bros. Back in Brawl and Smash 4, they had the masterpieces, which you were only able to play for a limited time, for like less than, I guess, a few minutes.
Unless you have the ability of speedrunning.
to play very old retro titles. That's pretty interesting.
And then there's also the little hub shop where you get to download or purchase particular gifts or outfits for your avatar to wear. And it's very similar to how you see in Smash Ultimate, because
In their shops, it's basically you collect spirits, you can collect some special gifts and perks for your spirits, and maybe even a Mii costume or a soundtrack as well, aside from the actual original shop there is.
and the last segment I want to go over is World Tour.
The story mode that is single player in Street Fighter. Aside from the arcade of Street Fighter,
This one is a 3D open world Street Fighter story mode, which, of course, this lets you give the opportunity of creating your own Street Fighter, your own avatar, your own character, and you are the protagonist of that series.
it's similar to how you create your own avatar in Elden Ring, where you create of what hero you want to be, and the moveset inspiration, where you want to be coached by your particular character, is similar to how you see in Smash Ultimate with the Mii fighters having a custom moveset, since you don't know what special moves they might equipped with.
Since the map is explored by Metro City, which is a reference to the Metro City in Final Fight, And it's true, I believe, that
Final Fight and Street Fighter are connected in the same universe. So it's pretty connected, which could predict that we will be getting some Final Fight characters in Street Fighter 6.
And that's it. I hope you guys really enjoyed my Street Fighter discussion. And as you saw in the beginning of the video, I will be doing more discussions on those particular videos, those games. That being talking about Tekken 8's roster and stuff, and even talking about Just Dance 2023 edition. I am so hyped for this one because there's a lot of things that I want to talk on this because somehow I think Ubisoft watched my video for some reason. I don't know why. And then, yes, I also talk about the future of Honey Pop content, and I promise
To the people who have waited for my Mario Pool Party minigames, it's still in development. I promise you that.
I will even talk about some characters for DLC for the Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, since Rayman is a considered playable character with his own adventure.
This has been a while since Rayman has been on Ubisoft for the longest time, since his last Rayman adventure or something.
But I just want to make sure you guys must subscribe for this content, though. You must make sure you're subscribed, because 92.7 of you guys are still not subscribed. If you're still not subscribed, subscribe right now and click the button. Press the like and comment, and make sure you ring that bell for more. And thanks you guys so much for watching. I will see you on the next discussion, and see ya.